Good morning, my friends. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I wanted to try something new here today because I'm sick of my own BS and I'm sick of my own obstacles and my own fears getting in the way of a big dream of mine, which is to start a podcast. So I'm going to walk you through one of the things that I do to actually put into motion a plan to make a dream actually happen instead of letting this dream just stay a dream. So welcome to episode 1 of the future podcast yet to be named. So I've had this long-held dream for a really long time, for several years, to start my own podcast. Lord knows that I have plenty to say and that I don't mind talking in front of a camera or to tens of thousands of people. I love it. It's my favorite thing. It actually fires me up. So the problem, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, we all have big dreams. We all have goals and these really cool ideas for things that we want to do. And for most of us, most of the time, most of those things just stay a big someday dream and they never actually happen. But I wanted to put my money where my mouth is and take my own advice that I give a lot, which is to cut the shit and make it happen. And that might sound harsh and it might hurt and you might not like it, but it's the dang truth for me. So it's probably the dang truth for a lot of you. So here's the thing, right? I've got this big dream. It doesn't matter what the dream is. For me, it's to start a podcast. And something happens a lot of times for a lot of people when you put a dream out there like that. All of a sudden, all of these nagging fears and your inner critic kicks in, and all these obstacles, all these things that you need to get or money you need to have, things you don't know how to do, they all pop up, right? So in my case, in this particular instance of starting a podcast, my brain starts to get to work on things and then it just shuts down and it goes back to nobody's going to care to listen to anything you have to say. You don't have anything good enough to say. You're not an expert. People are already sick of hearing you talk. What if no one shows up to it? What if it's totally embarrassing? What if the trolls come out and they start, making you miserable and making your anxiety skyrocket? And that's just the fear portion. And then there's this whole other piece of like, it's going to cost money. I don't know how to make cover art. I don't know how to get this stuff, onto iTunes. Like, I don't know how to make a jingle for the beginning. How do I even start with that? Do I need a jingle? I don't even know how to record. It's going to cost money to get equipment. I don't have time. There's all these million things that come up in the case of every single dream or goal that you might have. And that's why this is my process. This is what I do when I have a goal that that just keeps repeatedly punching me in the head and saying, hi, I'm still here, make me happen. The first thing that I do is I write down all of those obstacles. So just take a sheet of paper and write them all down. All the stuff I just said. I'm not good enough. I might fail. I could lose money. I don't have any money. I don't know how to do these things. Nobody wants to listen to me. Whatever. Write them all down. Just brain dump the whole mess onto a piece of paper. And then take the piece of paper, crumple it up, and throw it in the stinking garbage. And then take another piece of paper, like literally do this today. Don't make a plan to do this next week. Don't think about doing it. Don't waste your time on and I'm the queen of this. Don't waste your time on the work that seems fun, like the brainstorming work. You sit down and you're like, oh, I could do all these podcasts on all these things. It could be so cool. I would interview this person and that person. I should do it 2 times a month. I'm going to spend the next 2 hours thinking about names for my podcast. Those are all really great and fun things to do. And I actually love to fill my brain with those things when I should be sleeping at 3 a.m. But if they're not actually working towards moving you in the direction of your goal, then they're just a dream and they're not a plan. So what you can do right now, today, right now, like wherever you are, if you're sitting at your desk, if you're sitting at home having a cup of coffee, take out a little pad of paper and write down 3 things that you are going to do today to make your dream one step closer to being a reality. So for me, this is what it looked like this morning. I'd had enough of saying that I was going to do stuff and not doing it. I had enough of this thing bumping back into me. I'm listening. The universe is telling me, God, whatever you want to call it, is telling me, hey, the path is right here, but you have to cut the shit and make it happen. So here was my list this morning, right? Number 1, I just need to record something and put it out. I don't have a podcast yet. I don't have a channel. I don't know how to do iTunes. I don't have recording equipment. I have an iPhone. Here it is. I have a voice. I can talk and I can put it out. I have an audience that may or may not listen. I don't know. But step 1 is just saying something that means something to me right now and putting it out there, being vulnerable and seeing what happens. That's step one. So here I am with future podcast yet to be named, recording episode 1. So step 2 is there are a lot of obstacles in the way of me actually making this thing happen. And I don't know even the first step about how to make them happen. So I'm just going to reach out to my friends, to my circle, to my network, and I'm going to ask for help. So this is me actively asking for help. And on top of this, I'm going to send some emails and some text messages today to friends who I think might be able to help me. I need an intro for a podcast. I don't know how to make one. I don't know how to record one. I don't know if there are specifications for iTunes. If you know how to do this, if you have the capabilities of helping me, whether you want to get paid or not, please reach out to me because I need help. Number 2, I need equipment. I plan to get some equipment in the future, but I'm not going to let that be a roadblock between me and starting to make this happen. So I already know I have 2 friends who have recording equipment, and I'm going to send them texts today. And I'm going to say, hey, is there a time this weekend that I might be able to come over and fart around on your recording equipment and see how it works and start to figure things out? And before I go do that, I'm going to just Google how to use recording equipment, basic editing techniques, things like that, right? Set myself up for taking advantage of the situation to the best of my abilities. Number 3, I need cover art. I'm an artist, like I'm an actual physical artist. I can do that, but I don't know how to make it digital. I don't really know how to use Photoshop. So if there's somebody who's a graphic designer who might want to help me with this, I welcome your help. I need it. Okay, so that's the list for today. Those are the things I'm going to do for today. Number 3 for today is make a list of 5 podcasts, my first 5 podcasts that I'm going to do. I've got a 3-year-old here who's really interested in what I'm doing, but I'm not going to let that be a roadblock between me and what I'm trying to make happen. So I'm going to make a list of the first 5 podcasts that I'm going to record. I have a massive list and a brain dump from several friends, please don't, that have helped me come up with ideas. And I'm going to comb through them and find the top 5 that I think most speak to me, that I have the best chance of being heard. In other words, having the most impact, or whatever, however you want to look at it. I'm going to make a list of those 5, and then I'm going to put on the calendar today when I will actually record those. And whether it's like this to put on a YouTube, because that's the best of I can do right now, or if all the stars align and I happen to have an actual podcast page set up and ready to go by then great. Either way, the components are in the mix and they're starting to happen. So my point with all of this is that there's a million cliche quotes here, and I'll probably get them all wrong, but a dream is just a dream until you start making plans to make it happen. So I say it all the time, you got to cut the shit and make it happen. I'm taking my own advice here, and I'm encouraging you to do the same thing today. Look at the things that are flashing signs in front of your face, the thing that keeps coming up. If it's on your heart and it keeps coming back, it's probably a whole lot bigger than you, and the support behind it is just waiting for you to take action. So how about you just do it today? How about you just make a list like this of 3 things you're going to do today, and all the junk that can get in the way, crumple that up, throw it away, and start moving in the direction of making your thing happen. When you start breaking it down into steps, just like losing 110 pounds, right? If you stand at, like I did, 260 pounds, and you're looking at this insurmountable feat that seems so much bigger than you, and you don't have the tools, you don't have the motivation, you don't have anything. You can't imagine ever actually being a person to get to the end of that. You don't look at the end of it, you just look at step 1. Step 1 is, okay, well, I got to figure out how to eat better. I don't know how to eat. I don't know how to cook healthy food. I don't know what macros are. I don't know why I should have protein, or if I should have protein. I don't know what that means. I don't know how many calories a person should have in a day for weight loss. You just start at the bottom. You pick 3 things for today. You focus on those, you figure them out, and you execute. You cut the shit and you make it happen. It's that simple. Tomorrow and next week, you do the exact same thing. And if you fail, you start it over. And if you fail it again, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out a different way of getting to the end point. So if setting the goal for eating 1,500 calories a day for the next week fails over and over again, maybe that's just a little bit too much. Maybe you got to come around from the side and find a different way to make that happen. Maybe you got to pull other people in. Maybe you have to pick up a book that teaches you how to do it. Maybe you got to try a different tactic. Point being, you don't give up. You just start over. You rearrange, you realign, you try again. You bring in resources, you do what you have to do. So this is my first 10-minute quick podcast. Maybe you're going to listen to it in the car. Maybe you're going to listen to it while you're feeding your kid, or should be working at your desk, whatever. It's not fancy. It doesn't have to be. The point is, this is step one of making my big goal happen. And if I can do this and I can lose 100 pounds and I can make a podcast happen from nothing, you can reach whatever the goals are that you have. Start right now. Start today. Don't make a plan. Don't dream about it. Don't let it stay a giant dream. Start doing the work today. That's all. Stay tuned for episode 2 of the future podcast yet to be named. Bye, friends.